All right, Shalom. Let's start off with giving all praise, all honor, and glory to Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to you, brothers, to the four corners of the earth, teaching the truth and sincerity. Today's lesson, I'm gonna do a quick lesson on the history, okay, on the slavery timeline, and I'm gonna grab a couple few scriptures, that ties right in with that, okay. But this will be lesson part one of the slavery timeline to the 1400 and the 1500. Now I know there's a lot more that was going on, but this is just a quick briefing of key points that I wanted to bring out. So hopefully this lesson is edifying. So it says a chronology of the slavery abolition and emancipation in the 15th century. Okay, and I'll put the link in the channel, but you can go on www.brycechancary.com. Okay, it's the website I'm on. Okay, but I want to just jump here, start from classical style. It says classical style slavery has remained a normal part of the society and economy, and trade across the Mediterranean and Atlantic seaboard meant that African slaves began to appear in Italy, Spain, southern France, Portugal, well before the discovery of the New World in 1492. Okay, now to mention before I continue on, hey, when it's speaking of Africans, okay, we know that it's speaking of Israelites, okay, because we know the selling was going on, that the Israelites were being sold, okay, which they were calling them the Hebrews, all right, which were the Hebrew Israelites, but that's one of the forms of the names that they were using. It says from about the 8th century onwards, an Arab-run slave trade also flourished, with much of activity taking place in East Africa, Arabia, and the Indian Ocean. In addition, many African societies themselves had forms of slavery, although they differ considerably both from each other and from the European Arabic forms, although various forms of unfree labor were prevalent in Europe throughout its history. Historians refer to chattel slavery, in which slaves are commodities to be bought and sold rather than domestic servants and agricultural workers. Chattel slavery is the characteristic form of slavery in the modern world, and the chronology is concerned primarily with this form. Hey, that's right, because chattel slavery is basically saying you can be bought and sold or inherited. Okay, you're just property. That's it. You know. Now, beginning with the timeline, since 1441, since the start of the European slave trading in Africa, the Portuguese captains Anteo Concalves and Nuno Tristo captured 12 Africans in Cabo Branco, modern Mauritania, and take them to Portugal as slaves. And I want to start off by saying Salakia, forgive me for I may be going off with some of these names, not pronouncing it right, Akim. 1444 says, La Corte de Freitas, a tax collector from the Portuguese town of Lagos, forms a company to trade with Africa. The 8th of August 1444, De Freitas lands 235 kidnapped and enslaved Africans in Lagos, the first large group of African slaves brought to Europe. And keep in mind, these are Israelite slaves, okay? These are not Africans. 1452 says the start of the sugar slave complex. Sugar is first planted in Portuguese island of Madeira, and for the first time African slaves are put to work on the sugar plantations. The 18th of June 1452, Pope Nicholas V issues Dom de Veras, a bull authorizing the Portuguese to reduce any non-Christians to the status of slaves. 1454, 8th of January, Pope Nicholas V issues Romanus Pontifex, a bull granting the Portuguese a perpetual monopoly in trade with Africa. Nevertheless, Spanish traders began to bring slaves from Africa to Spain. That's right, they were beginning to trade with Africa. So who were they trading with in Africa? Okay, Africans. That's who they were trading with. and we and our people was being bought and sold for wine and guns and things like that. Okay, hey, and also I want to mention the Portuguese, the English, the Dutch, the Spaniards, the French, the conquistadors. Hey, they're all Edomites according to the Bible. Okay, that's Esau. Okay, the so-called white man. 1461, it says the first Portuguese trading fort, the castle of Arguin, modern Martina, is completed. 1462, the Portuguese colony on Count Verde Islands is founded, an important way to station in the slave trade. Hey, so that was one of their little more than likely one of their little slave ports in where at on Count Verde. Okay, where is that? That's on the offshore of where? Close to West Africa. All right, let's look at this map. Okay, that's where it was. Okay, and there was a lot of little slave ports on the west coast of Africa because that's mainly where Jake was. Okay, because remember, in 70 A.D. we fled from the Roman persecution, and we fled into mainly West Africa, different parts of Africa, Europe, and all these different places. Okay, that was a prophecy that will happen. Let's continue on. This is where we at. 1462. Okay, it says Portuguese slave traders start to operate in Seville, Spain. 1470s, despite papal opposition, Spanish merchants began to trade in large numbers of slaves in the 1470s. 1476, Carlos de Villarreal of Castile in Spain brings back 400 slaves from Africa. 1481. A Portuguese embassy to court of King Edward VI of England concludes with the English government agreeing not to enter the slave trade against the wishes of many English traders. 1481 to 86, Santiago de Amzubuja builds the castle at El Mina, modern Ghana, which was become the most substantial and the most notorious slave trading forts in West Africa. Hey, that El Mina castle was no comfort zone, that El Mina castle was no safe haven for Jake, man. No safe haven. In fact, I'm gonna show you a couple of pictures because that's where we was before we got delivered to the Americas and all these different places. Okay, I'll show you. Okay, this is the Elmina Castle. All right. And they was good for getting the ones by the coastline because it was easy to, like a port, it was easy to trade off. Easy to bring them out and easy to get them in. They said they used to fit about 600 male slaves in these little dungeons, smushed up. Okay. And just like on the slave ships, they said they had us chained together. Okay. And also this one little tour I was watching of the castle, they said there was this little thing where they used to push our food at on this little line, right? But that's also where we had to go to the bathroom at. So it was either they used to mix our food with, basically feces and piss. And it was like you either eat or die. Esau's the devil, man. And Esau's going to pay in the kingdom for his wicked ass acts. You know. And look, see, slave exit to the waiting boats. Yeah, waiting boats to where? To get shipped off to the Americas and the different places. Okay. And what? The door of no return. Because what? You wasn't returning back. You was either getting shipped to different places and going into slavery, or what? If they couldn't fit you on the boat and the boat was too heavy, they was throwing you off to the sharks. Hey, that's why the sharks still follow the trail of the Atlantic slave trade to this day. Okay, generation after generation of sharks. They threw so many of us over that they still follow that same trail. Okay. It became like a way of life to the sharks. They get fed. That's how many of us they was throwing off the boat. If we died, they was throwing us off the boat. Okay. They packed us on them slave ships like sardines. You know what I mean? Jake pissing and shitting on themselves. Women having their menstrual cycles all on each other. You know. Hey, this was just crazy, man. Cause their whole goal was to try to stack as many slaves as they can. You know what I mean? You know, putting them cargo slave ships. Okay. We was the only one that's facts that was putting them cargo slave ships, okay? Chained up, going to the enemy's land, and then what? Being casted for lots, okay? Being sold. 20, 30, 40, 50 sold to the next Edomite man. You know what I mean? You know? And these numbers is way higher, and as we read, slave trade started way before then. You know what I mean? But hey, we was getting shipped all across the world. Okay, like the scriptures say, you'll be scattered. Okay, and this was a heavy way of prophecy of how we was getting scattered under every nation. By what? The way of the slave trade. You know. So let's get a few scriptures. You know. Deuteronomy 28:64. It says, "And the Lord shall scatter thee among all the people, from one end of the earth unto even to another. And there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither thou have known, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." And that's right. We was scattered amongst every nation. And the easiest way for them to do that was what? By slavery. You know. Jump by verse 68. It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt not see it no more again." So, when we're speaking of when we see brought into Egypt again with ships, it's talking about what? America, okay? Because America is spiritually Egypt. And again, one of the ships was what? Them cargo slave ships that I showed you that we was packed on like sardines. By the way, said, "Bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again," which was our homeland, okay, Jerusalem, Israel. "And there you should be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you," okay. That means no man shall save you, and we were sold to our enemies. All right, we were sold to our enemies for slave men and slave women, okay. Because what our people went off and didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandments. So that was one of the curses that fell upon us. Okay. Let's continue on with the slave timeline. Okay. So 1481 and 86 says Diego the Nzamboja builds the castle of Elmina, modern Ghana, which was become the most substantial and most notorious of the slave trading forts in West Africa. That's right. That was one of them, the main forts that we was traded off and set sail to our way to the Americas. Okay, 1483, Santiago Callao discovers the Congo River. The region is later a major source of slaves. Say anywhere Esau go and finds our people, you know, they just automatically take them as slaves. You know. 1485, Santiago Callao makes contact with the nation of the Congo, visits its capital, Mombasa in Congo. He established relations between Portugal and Congo. 1486, J.O. Afonso Aveiro makes contact with the kingdom in the city of Benin. Also in 1486, Portuguese settled the West African island of Sao Tome. This uninhabited West African island is planted with sugar and populated by African slaves by the Portuguese. The settlement thus extended and developed the sugar slave complex that had been initiated in Madeira. 1487 to 1488, it says Bartolomeo Diaz rounds the Cape of Good Hope and explores the Indian Ocean and the East African coast. Hey, Esau was just, running around talking about they exploring. Man, they wasn't exploring, man. They was looking for Jake. Okay? They was looking for someone to steal their riches off of. Okay? Or when I mean riches, like their abundance of the land. Okay? Their natural resources. And like John 10:10 says, well, the devil comes to know nothing but what to kill, steal, and destroy. 1492, the 2nd of January 1492, the Moorish town of Granada surrenders to the Spanish forces of the Catholic kings Ferdinand and Isabella, making the end of the La Reconquista, the war between the Moors and Spaniards in the Iberian Peninsula. Both sides retained many slaves taken during the course of the war. Hey, and the Moors is just a byword, okay? That's all it is, okay? Because the Moors were Israelites, okay? That converted to Islam. All right. The 12th of October, 1492, Christopher Columbus, okay? Christophe Colomb, okay, aka Christopher Columbus, becomes the first European since the Viking era to discover the New World, which is bull. Setting a foot on an unidentified island he named San Salvador, was the modern Bahamas. Okay. Hey, Christopher Columbus knew that Israel, we was over here in the Americas, okay? Because what? He read the scriptures. In the scriptures it speaks of how we were already over here. Also, what? Christopher Columbus had what? Hebrew interpreters. Why? Because he knew our people were over here, okay? He knew the Hebrew Israelites were over here. Okay, the so-called Native Americans, the Seminole Indians, the so-called Mexicans, okay? Which, the Taino Indians, the Arawak Indians, in the different parts of the different Americas. He read the Bible. He knew we was over here. Okay, I'm about to get that, Lord will. To the 3rd of November 1493, on his second voyage, Columbus again reaches the New World, modern Dominica. On his voyage, he initiates the first transatlantic slave voyage, a shipment of several hundred Taino people sent from Hispaniola to Spain. There are doubts about the legality of their enslavement in Spain. The 8th of December 1493, since Columbus founds the first European colony in the New World, La Isabela, on the island of Hispaniola, modern Dominican Republic. So, right there it says what? What was going on this time was both Judah and Israel, okay? Judah, the southern kingdom, Israel, the northern kingdom. Around these times, even though there's different more key points that they didn't bring out here, we were being enslaved and oppressed together at the same time. So while the Northern Kingdom be trying to act like it's just the so-called Negroes in the West Indies and the Haitians just was alone on the porch. No, we were impressed together. I mean, we was oppressed together. Okay, as a group. While they were bringing the so-called Negroes, the Southern Kingdom, to the Americas, they were shipping you so-called Latinos, to Spain. Okay, to them different parts over there, taking you, robbing you, and killing you, and taking your land and shipping you over there. Okay, let's get that. Okay. Jeremiah 50:33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Hey, that's right. As soon as they figured out they can use you for to do all their handiwork, okay, and take your land, take your women as spoils, they held fast to you and they didn't let you go. Okay. Back at the 3rd of November 1493. No, slot. It says on the 8th of June 1496. It says Columbus returns from his second voyage, carrying around 30 Native American slaves. Once again, there are no doubts about the legality of their enslavements. Hey, you know how that also backs up the scriptures, Akim? Because it takes a year and a half to get over here to the Americas. That's what's recorded in the scriptures. So it says December 8th of 1493, Columbus founds the first European colony, a New World, La Esbella, on the island of Hispaniola, modern Dominican Republic. So he did what they did, gathered up, and more likely took people back to wherever it was doing. Okay, which it takes a year and a half to get to the Americas and then back to where it is going. Now in 1496, how come he's back over here in North America? Okay, so a year and a half to go back, probably deliver or wherever he dropped them off to, and a year and a half to come back. 3 years. Hey, let me prove that with the scripture, right? Let's prove that real quick. First Kings 10:22. Okay, we're gonna start with bring an example because it took 3 years to get over here to the Americas. Okay, now this is dealing with King Solomon. Okay, for the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Harim. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. Hey, so at that time, King Solomon had servants, right? And he was sending them to the Americas, okay? With Harim, he was sending them to the Americas to gain them what different different animals, different things like that, But what it took a year and a half, okay, to get to the Americas, and a year and a half to get back. That lines up also with the scriptures that I'm about to get into. With what it took Israel, okay, the 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 northern kingdom. That's what I'm speaking of when I say Israel. To get to the Americas, it took them a year and a half. So let's read that again. Second Kings 10 and 22. It says, For the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Harim. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes, and peacocks. So the king Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for the riches and for wisdom. That's right. He was sending them to the Americas to get all these different things, the abundance of riches and beautiful animals. Okay. But what it says, what he took three. It said once in 3 years, because it took a year and a half to get there and a year and a half to get back. All right, now I want to prove that Columbus knew that that the Northern Kingdom was over here in the Americas. Also, with proving what it took them a year and a half to get over here. Second Ezra 13 and 40. Because if you read if you watch the movie 1492, it goes into that. Okay, there's a clip when he speaks when he says when he's talking to the one guy, and he says, how can you be so sure that you can get over there to the Americas, basically, right? And he said, what did he say? He said a couple names, but then he said Esdras. And then the one dude that he was speaking to said, well, Esdras is a Jew. Okay, we were speaking of Esdras in the scriptures, who I'm going to right now. That's why he was like, well, how can you be so certain you can make it over there? He said Esdras. Okay, knowing, meaning what? He read the scriptures. Also why he took what? Hebrew interpreters with him. All right, so Second Ezra 13 to 40 says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hoshea the king, whom Salmanasseh the king of Syria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. That's right. And that's why they also call this place the New World, because they knew no one ever dwelled here. Okay, because King Solomon sent the army over here. Okay, Hiram's army, which was the Canaanites' army over here, to get different things for them, but they didn't dwell here. Okay, it says that what, verse 42, that they might keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. Right, so they can come over here and follow the law, statutes, commandments, okay, and follow the Most High, And they enter into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them, and hell still the flood till they were passed over. Right, so the Most High made the water still, just so the Northern Kingdom can get over here to the Americas. Okay, because it's to be said that going around the horns of Africa is a very a stormy area. Okay, it's very dangerous. Right, so it says, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half. Okay, so it took them a year and a half to get here. And if they said they was coming back from where they was coming from, it would be another year and a half. So that would be equal to 3 years. It says, so for that country where there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, in the same region is called Asareth. Okay. Hey, man, that's America. Okay, that's America. Verse 46, it says, then they dwelt there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. Okay, so that was the point where Christopher Columbus knew that the Northern Kingdom, the Israelites was over here in America. Okay, in the Americas, in that what? It's proven right here that it took a year and a half. Okay, back and forth equal of 3 years. Just like what we read in First Kings of King Solomon when he sent his navy. So let's read this again. It says December 8th, 1493, Columbus founds the first European colony in the New World, La Isabella on the island of Hispaniola, modern Dominican Republic, 1493, and the 8th of June, 1496, Columbus returns from his second voyage carrying around 30 Native American slaves. Once again, there are doubts about the legitimacy of their enslavement. 3 years, man. That's 3 years, man. A time for them to get back and a time for them to hurt and come back to the Americas again. All right, using the scriptures because they knew we was over here. 24th of June, 1497, John Cabot, an Italian sponsored by King Henry the VII of England, makes landfall on the northern tip of the island of Newfoundland, modern Canada. And they always say Newfoundland. Y'all didn't find a damn thing, okay? Y'all stole everything y'all have. So this discovery became the basis of subsequent English claims to North America. 1489, more than 200 slaves taken from the northern coast of South America by Amerigo Vespucci, which is the Italian explorer. So for all you people to say, I'm American, first of all, American is not a nationality, okay? Second of all, America comes from Amerigo Vespucci, this Italian explorer. And it was said that he came here before, found that place before Christoph Columbus, okay, aka Christopher Columbus. I think it was 1452, I'm not mistaken. I didn't probably need to go check that, but yeah, they say it was Amerigo Vespucci found the Americas before Christoph Columbus, but he just didn't get the credit for it. You know what I mean? So it says more than 200 slaves taken from the northern coast of South America by Amerigo Vespucci and Alonso de Hojeda and sold apparently without legal problems in Cadiz. In the 1500s, the 22nd of April of the 1500s, Pedro Cabral of Portugal discovers Brazil, landing at Porto Seguro, southern Bahia. Hey, and they're good for saying they discover something. How can you discover something when someone's already there? You know what I mean? You can't discover nothing when no one's already there. Hey, man, because Esau is the devil, man. You get one scripture on him. John 10:10 says, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and destroy. Okay. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. But the point that I wanted to get was what John 10:10, that the thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and destroy. Perfect script for Esau, okay. Habakkuk 2:5 says, yea, also because he is transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire is hell, and as death he cannot be satisfied. That's right, because he's a proud man. He's very proudful, running around taking people's land, okay. Neither keepeth at home, because he always got going around exploring, journeying everywhere. Enlarges his desire as hell as his death and cannot be satisfied. So no matter how much this devil takes, he can never be satisfied. He always wants more and more and more. But gather unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. So he got to have everyone under his wing. He got to have everybody in subjection. Hey, so that's the point that I wanted to get into Esau, man. You know, but also, what I wanted to touch on real quick before I close out. Hey, Jake, you Israelites, you need to consider what was your heritage before you were brought on them slave ships. Okay, what were you doing before then? Okay, what language were you speaking? Okay, were you speaking were you speaking English? Were you speaking French? Were you speaking Spanish? Were you speaking Dutch? What's the language were you speaking? Okay, you got your heritage beat out of you. Okay, because you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are the Israelites. Okay, the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, you spoke Hebrew. Okay, that's what you spoke. You spoke Hebrew. But in a process of due time, it was prophesied that that you would lose your heritage. Okay, Jeremiah 17:4 close out on this, and it says, "Thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever." That's right. So we're all caused to serve enemies in a land which we know not. For the most part, you know, because even though the Native Americans, this was their land, even though this is not their homeland, but this is their land first. They're cast off in the reservations, but they're still serving their enemy. Okay, our homeland is Jerusalem. Okay, and now we're scattered throughout the earth, serving enemies in different lands. Okay, because one at the whole point of that is what we're serving enemies in a land that's not ours. Okay, we lost our heritage, but now through the mercy and power of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, we're getting our heritage back. Our people are waking up. We're starting to know who we are. But our people lost our heritage. And it's crazy how I see how people were talking about they want to keep their culture and heritage. Speaking of that, they want to speak Spanish, and I love being a Latino or African American. When that's not your culture, and that's not your nationality. Okay, it's not even your language that you speak. You were conquered by a certain nation, and now you were made to speak that language. Just because you were born speaking a certain language doesn't mean that was your ancestors' language. Okay, our ancestors didn't speak, okay, Spanish, okay, English, Dutch, and so on and so on. All right, so that want to close. Hope this lesson was edifying. Shalom.